Hello again, everybody. So for today, we're going to take a look at the development of perception in babies and children. So our objectives and standards are to recognize important perceptual skills that develop and explain how language develops. If you would please take a look at the standards. And our desired result, what perceptual skills do infants develop? So the development of perceptual skills, newborns also begin to look at their bodies and their surroundings. Um, Psychologists have found that, and researchers have found that infants prefer to look at different faces and pattern materials, and also they've come to realize that the touch of their parents can also be beneficial too. So one experiment that was done in 1960 by Gibson and Walk was the visual cliff, and I put I think a pretty good explanation of it here. What they would do is they made a checkered board encased with glass, and you can see, so here's part of it here, here's the checkered floor, and then below we have another checkered floor, and you can see that there's glass here as well. So the infant would be placed at one end, and the infant would walk across the checkered pattern, and then it would come to this cliff here and see, the checkered pattern below. Now, younger infants, with their perception, were unafraid to cross the glass. They were not afraid of possibly, falling off a cliff or falling off the edge of it. They didn't have the perceptual skills to realize that there may be a danger there. Older infants, however, would not climb over the cliff. So older infants would stop at where it ends there, as you can see, realizing that they had developed the perception that cliffs are dangerous. So again, as the younger infants were unafraid of that, older infants realized that, maybe I should stop, that's dangerous. One of the other things that researchers did realize too is that younger infants' heart rates increased as they reached the edge of the cliff, realizing that maybe sometimes younger infants had perceptual skills or were beginning to develop perceptual skills because their heart rates were increasing as well. So this is the visual cliff experiment, and explains how younger infants and older infants develop perceptual skills differently. So the development of language. Thought and language are intertwined closely. A child begins to think about objects before they can actually speak them, and developing language propels a child into further intellectual development. And we also know that other animals, such as chimpanzees, have also developed language skills by recognizing objects like sticks or balls or food. They recognize the importance or can symbolize the difference between these objects. Now, acquiring language. Some psychologists believe that language is reinforced behavior, meaning coming from parents or watching others, while others believe that it's born within us. Some also believe that there is a critical period for learning language. In most cases, this is the younger years. Now, Washu stated that there are several steps in learning language. First, a person must learn to make signs and understand the meaning of those signs. They can use their hands, they can use their feet, they can use their mouth, but however a person makes signs, they must understand the meaning of those signs. Second, babbling sounds begin to develop, and you may have seen this in infants as well, these babbling sounds. Eventually they will mimic the speech of their parents and family members. So, family members may make a goo goo sound for a baby, or a gaga sound, with babies, and then sometimes the baby will imitate that or repeat that back. And finally, a third attempt, later on, early attempts at words are mostly incomplete or are commands, such as ball could be ba, or bottle could be baba. So these are early attempts at words, but they're mostly incomplete or commands. So let's take a look at how language skills increase over time. During the first year, there's an increase in babbling sounds. And the infant also masters their own sounds and typically says their first word by the end of this year. Example, baba, dada, mama, all the typical first words. By the second year, the infant is about able to say about a dozen words. When they begin to speak in paired words and ask questions, they also begin to use nouns and negative words like ball gone. So it's not a complete thought or sentence, but they begin to use nouns and words together. By the third year, a child has developed more grammatical knowledge, and they usually have about 5,000 words in their vocabulary, such as I eating. Again, it's not proper grammar, but they're using verbs as well. By the fourth year, there is about 9,000 words and more development of grammar, like will daddy go, or will I go, things like that. And then by the fifth year, we usually have more complex sentences, but there can also be problems with noun and verb agreement, such as I see what you did. Well, the proper way to possibly say that would be say I saw what you did. So the verb tense may not be correct, but they're forming a complex sentence, but the noun and verb agreement may not be correct. All right, so wrapping up development perception. So children do develop perceptual skills as they grow as infants and newborns. And then language development can also increase over time as well. Gradually, grammar gets better, the vocabulary bank builds as well. So all these things begin to develop with perception. All right, so please be sure to complete the lesson, and I will see and talk to you later. All right, everyone, for our closure, what perceptual skills do infants develop? Think about the visual cliff, think about some of the language skills they are developing, and that will help you answer your question. All right, so please be sure to include this information in your weekly summary chart as usual, and have a great rest of your day or night.